Okay. So what we're going to do with simple interest is we're going to first define what it is, and then we're going to do some problems with it. Get my book all situated in the right spot here. So simple interest, the interest calculated is PRT. I'm going to explain what that means. P is the principal. So if I have a loan or I'm investing money, the principal is the initial amount of the loan without interest, or if I'm investing money, it's the amount that I put into the bank at the beginning. Okay. R is the interest rate. Okay. And T is the time in years. And then, of course, I is the interest. So if I want to figure the interest on a loan or the interest I'm going to earn in a bank account, I use this simple formula. Okay, so let's do an example here. The best way to learn this is through examples, I think. Give me a minute to get the section. So an example is if I invest $5,000 in a bank account that gets me 6.3% for 6 years, then the interest I'm going to earn is very simple. It's PRT, which in this case would be $5,000 times the interest rate. Whenever I'm putting an interest rate in an equation, I have to put it in its decimal form. So 6.3% would translate to 0.063. And then I multiply that by the time in years, which is 6 years in this case, right there. Okay. If I now multiply that out, just get my calculator out for a second. That is 5,000 times 0.063 times 6. I'm going to make 1,890. It's going to be my interest that I'm going to earn if that's like a savings account. Okay. Now I could do another example. Let's do a common usage of simple interest is a car loan. So if I have a car loan, here's the stuff I need to know about my car loan. Okay, the cost of the car, let's say it's $9,500. Okay. The interest rate, I'm going to say, is 4.65%. And I want to do a 3-year loan. Okay. So I got a car loan. Okay. It has a cost of the car is $9,500. The interest rate is 4.65%, and I'm doing a 3-year. Okay. So the way I'd figure out the interest on this loan is the principal times the rate times the time, okay, which is going to be 9,500 times the rate, which is 0.0465 if I change this to a decimal. And then I'm going to multiply that by 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to do something on my calculator, and then we're going to calculate the monthly payment. Times 0.0465 times 3. Okay, I get that this is the interest is going to be $13.25 and 25 cents. Okay, so now let's say I want to find the monthly payment. Well, I need to first find the total cost of the car. So the monthly payment is the total cost divided by the number of months. Okay. The total cost divided by the number of months. All right, so I'm going to have to think about this. Well, the total cost is the price I bought it for plus the interest. Here, I'm running out of room here, so let me do this a little different. So it's going to be 9,500 is what I bought it for, plus the interest, which I just found is 13.25 and 25 cents. And I'm going to take that quantity and I'm going to divide it by the number of months. Well, in 3 years, there are 36 months. So I'm going to basically take that whole numerator, add it up, and divide it by 36 months. So I add that, the interest to 9,000, or to 9,500 rather. And then I'm going to divide that by 36 months. And I get that this equals $300, 70 cents a month. So that is my monthly payment. Okay. So those are some basic problems. Now we're going to talk about something we call future value. It's future value of a loan or savings. So the future value is, if I invest a certain amount now, how much am I going to total have in the future? Or if I have a certain loan amount, based upon the interest rate, what's going to be the total amount I'm going to pay for that thing that I bought, including interest. So the future value is just the principal plus the interest. Very simple. Whatever I pay at the beginning plus the interest I'm going to pay. I could rewrite this as the principal plus the interest, which we just calculated, as PRT, because I just said that the interest is PRT, PERT, for simple interest. I can modify this equation one more time algebraically if I factor out the P. You see what I did there? I basically factored a P out of each of those terms. Okay. So this is the formula we want to use for the future value of a loan or an investment, depending upon what we're working with. Okay. So let's take an example. Okay. Let's say my P is 9,000 bucks. And let's say that my R is 6.5%. And let's say my T is 8 months. And I want to find the future value of this loan, of this investment or loan. We don't know if it's an investment or loan. They don't tell us. Let's say it's a loan for sake of argument. Okay, so I want to find out the future value, then it's going to give me the total amount I'm going to pay for this car, for example. So the future value in this case is the total I will pay. So it's principal plus interest, okay? So that would be P times 1 plus RT, which in this case is my principal, 9,000 bucks, times 1 plus the rate, which is 0.065. Gotta times the time, which is 8 months. Now, the time I said needed to be in years. Okay, so how do I change 8 months to years? Well, it's not super difficult. You just multiply by 8/12 of a year, because isn't 8 months 8/12 of a year? So you just, if it's in months, you just take the amount of months divided by 12. So this is 2/3 of a year. So now if I plug that into my calculator, 0.065 times 8/12 plus 1 times 9,000. I get 93.90. That's my future value. So that's how much I'm gonna, if this were a car that I was buying and the interest rate for the loan was 6.5%, and I'm gonna pay it off in 8 months, then that means that I'm gonna end up paying $93.90 for the car after the 3 months is over. Or the 8 months is over, rather. The 8 months is over. Okay, now I can go backwards. I can do it backwards now. I'll show you what I mean by that. How much should I invest now at 8.35% for 5 years if I want $11,000 after that 5 years? Okay, so what's happening here is this is worded kind of weird, but we're going to use our future value equation. I'll show you why. Because what this is saying is, how much should I invest now? So what it's asking is, how much principal should I invest now so that after 5 years at the interest rate 0.0835, 8.35, I want to end up having $11,000 at the end. So basically, this is my unknown right here. What do I invest now? How much principal do I invest right now so that after 5 years at 8.35%, I have $11,000. Okay? So we can just plug in what we know. So my equation is 11,000, which is A, equals P, which I don't know, I'm trying to find, times 1 plus 0.0835 times 5. Okay, so let's multiply. Let's get all this simplified in the calculator here. So I get 0.0835 times 5 equals, add that to 1, equals, and I get 11,000 equals 1.4175 times my P. So this basically added up to 1.4175 when I got done. So now, to get P alone, I have to divide both sides by 1.4175. Divide this one by 1.4175. That's going to tell me how much I need, and then these cancel right here. So I end up with P equaling 11,000 divided by 1.4175 equals, that ends up being $77.60 and 14 cents. So what that basically tells me, guys, is this is what I have to stick in this bank account right now so that eventually I've got this much money after 5 years. So that's what I have to invest right now. So this one flipped the switch on us, because instead of asking us to find the future value, it gave us the future value and asked us to find the principal, what we invest right now. Okay, so let me give you guys a couple here. So let's try this one. Whoops. So I'm going to give you that we want to, at some point, my A is going to be 16 grand. So we want to make 16 grand at some point. My interest rate is 11.5%, and my time in years is 4 years. okay? I want you to find P. Just very similar to what we just did, find P. So go ahead and find out with 16,000, R equaling 11.5%, and T equaling 4 years. I want you to go ahead and find P. Thanks for letting me know. I did not put the mute off. Sorry about that. So I'll re-explain it. So again, we're going to be looking for, here's our equation, A equals P times 1 plus RT, this guy right here. Okay. We're going to be looking for P, as I underlined in red there. So I'm going to plug in what I know. 16,000, which is my A, equals P, which I don't know, times 1 plus the interest rate, which is 0.115 in decimal form, times 4, which is the years. So now this equals, if I plug that into my calculator, I get 1.46 for this part, and then that's multiplied by P. I am switching the order of these, but that's okay, because multiplication is commutative. I can change the order. This is multiplication right here. So now I divide both sides by 1.46, 1.46. So I get 16,000 divided by 1.46. And these cancel, so I end up with P equaling 10,958.90 cents, okay, which is, I think, what I saw from several of you. Okay. So those are the basic principles of simple interest. I wanted to make a comment here on the last section 8.1, because I was kind of looking through some of the homework while we're going through some of this percent stuff, and I saw a common problem in your homework. I was just looking through it the other day, and I don't normally see anything that super common except for problems like this, so I want to go over it. How many of you guys ran into problems like this and kind of had some trouble with that? They actually say to express that as a decimal. So let's figure out how you would do that. Well, you guys have a calculator, so you don't actually have to do long division in this class. So what I can do is I can first just ignore the percent symbol and change 5/8 into a decimal. So let's change 5/8 into a decimal. To do that, you just put in 5 divided by 8 on your calculator. Okay, so that would be 5 divided by 8. That's 0.625. Okay, so that's not my answer because that's just the 5/8 part. So I have to write this as 0.625%. The reason for that is because 5/8 is the exact same thing as 0.625. Now, I need to turn this into a decimal. Well, to turn it into a decimal, I have to move the decimal point from percent to decimal 2 to the left. So that'd be 0.00625 is the decimal in the end. Okay, and just to practice, this ends up being 625 as a fraction with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, which then I would have to proceed to simplify if I wanted to get that done. And the way I could simplify that, okay, is by dividing the top and bottom of this by 25. We know that 25 is going to go into both of those. So let's just do this for a minute. 625 divided by 25 is 25. So this is 25, and then 100, that's 100,000 divided by 25 is 4,000. Whoops. Okay, and then I can divide those both by 25 again. And I would get 1/160 if I divide both of these by 25 again. Just a little bit of a review. I saw a lot of people struggling with problems like that. And then another one that's kind of similar would be ones where I do like 2 and 5, or let's not do that one. Let's do 2 3/8%. Okay, so what I do is just I want to change this to a decimal first. So I'll do that off to the side. Well, let's just find out what 3/8 is. 3 divided by 8 is 0.375. Okay, so this is 2.375 is what that turns into. And the reason for that is because 3/8 is the same as 0.375. I don't know if you can see how those kind of line up. All right, so now I want to change that into a decimal, move it 2 to the left, 1, 2, so that gives me 0.02375. I got to pop a 0 in there. And that's my final answer for those. Okay. There was one in section, can't remember the number though. Okay, well, try to find it if you can. I have no idea what that could be. So you may want to try to find it. If you guys do have questions, one thing you should always try to do is write them down, circle them in your notebook or whatever, so I can do them. I'm more than happy to work some of those. Okay, the last thing I want to do is do a little review. I was looking through the homework, and a lot of people are having troubles with this 8-1, especially some of the nuances in percents, but also some of the percent equation stuff. So let's review how to do these. If I do something like 8 is 40% of what? Let's review how to do this again. Okay, I want to go over this just because it's 8 is 40% of what? Okay, so do you remember how to do the translation cues? So if I look here, the is translates to equal, doesn't it? And the of translates to times, and the what translates to x. Do you remember that? So I can rewrite this now as 8 equals 40%, 0.4. Remember, whenever we put a percent in an equation, we want it to be in its decimal form. Of is times, and then what is x? So now I want to try to get x by itself. Well, to get x by itself, I divide both sides by 0.4. So 8 divided by 0.4 is 20. Okay, let's do another one of those. What percent of 8, what percent of 8 is 1? What percent of 8 is 1? Okay, so let's write it out. So what percent, that's my x, of is times 8 is equals 1. X times 8 equals 1. Okay, so just reviewing a little quick again, the what percent is corresponds to the x, the of corresponds to the times, and then the is corresponds to the equal right here. Okay, so x times 8 equals 1. Okay, let me erase some of that. So now to get x alone, I just divide both sides by 8, don't I, to get x alone? And I get x equals 1 over 8. Now I have to figure out what that percent is, so I actually have to take 1 divided by 8. 1 divided by 8 is 0.125, but that's not my answer because remember, in the equation land, this is in decimal form. I need to change this to a percent because I'm looking for a percent. So this would end up being 12.5% when I move the decimal place 2 to the right to go from decimal to percent. Anyone have any more questions on that percent stuff in section 8.1? Get stuck on any of that? Nothing? Nope. It's all super clear to you? Okay. Question. Cool. It's cool, Andre. No other questions. All right, so what we're going to do is you got about 2 hours to go and work on your review. Like I said, so go ahead and take a couple hours. Just trying to read the comments there. Sorry. Go ahead and take a couple hours to work on your review. And the next class, I mean, we will just basically probably have a full class. We're going to start back in the logic section 3.5 and 3.7. We'll do problems from those. I have some pre-prepared ones I've already looked at. And then we'll go through least common factor trees, least common multiples, greatest common divisors. We'll go through fractions again, order of operations. And then we're going to do the income tax stuff briefly, but that will not take very long. So the rest of this class today is designed to be for you to work on the review. So I would encourage you to take this time. Don't do it tomorrow. Don't do it the next day. Actually open it up in my math lab right now and get going on it, and just might as well take advantage of this time that you're planning to be in class anyway. So, and then, like I said, go ahead and be ready to ask some questions. Please make sure that you write the problems down that you have questions with, so we're not kind of trying in class to like open things up and figure out where they are. Okay. So right now, and that's a great question, Todd. In my math lab, I believe 8.2 and 8.3 are the same homework assignment. They're together. And so what you need to do is, it's really easy. You can go ahead and just do that homework assignment. Just don't do any of the problems that talk about income tax. Just only do the problems that talk about percents. Simple interest. You'll be able to figure it out just from the questions. And then of course we'll do 8.2 next time, and then you can finish that assignment and do all the income tax problems. Somebody asked, where is it? Do you mean where is the practice test?
Yeah, where's the review in my math lab?
Okay, so it's under the homework assignments.